Okay, in this scenario we have our DHCP server which is behind the router, and our client is behind the router interface gigabyte 0/0. What does it mean? It means whenever your PC 0 initiate the broadcast to get the IP address from DHCP server, broadcast will send to the router. Router will break the broadcast domain, right? Router always break the broadcast, but this is the DHCP broadcast, right? It has to be reached to the DHCP server. So we have to fine tune the configuration. We have to configure something on a router interface on which you are receiving on which the router is receiving the broadcast, right? So let's go and configure. Don't configure correctly anything on the switches. Let it be VLAN, all the port member of VLAN 1. Okay. Let's go and configure your router 1. Router 1 has a two interface, gigabyte 0/0 and another is gigabyte 0/1. So let's configure gigabyte 0/0. Enable configuration terminal, interface gigabyte 0/0, IP address 172.16.1.1/24. Okay, and no shutdown. Perfect. So now here we have IP address 172.16.1.1/24. Now this IP address will be the default gateway for all our endpoints. Correct? Perfect. It means whenever we will configure the DHCP pool, in that pool my default gateway is 172.16.1.1. Clear? 100%, right? Okay. See guys, if I have configured the IP address on interface 172.16.1.1, but I have configured the pool as a 10.10.10.0/24, it won't work, right? You have to configure the pool within the same range of your default gateway. Currently configure on a router 1. Okay, then configure the one more interface gigabyte 0/1, which is connected to the switch, and on that switch we have a DHCP server. Then go to the interface gigabyte 0/1, IP address 10.10.10.1 255.255.255.0/24. Okay, now my DHCP server IP address from range 10.10.10.1, right? And for DHCP server my default gateway is the IP address of interface gigabyte 0/1. Clear? Which is 10.10.10.1/24. Clear? Let's do one thing. Configure IP address of the DHCP server 10.10.10.100/24. Clear guys? Okay. Let's configure. Now first configure the DHCP IP and then we'll configure the pool. Go to the DHCP, right? Desktop, IP address 10.10.10.100 255.255.255.0, default gateway 10.10.10.1, which is configured on the router. Okay, then go to the services under DHCP, right? Add, sorry, under DHCP, okay, pool name LAN pool 1, default gateway. Of course, now here we are configuring the DHCP pool for this LAN segment, right? So our DHCP pool having the default gateway address is 172.16.1.1. Start IP 172.16.1.10. Subnet mask all 255. DNS 8.8.8.8. Add. See here you go. One pool which is default pool, right? Default pool from IP DHCP subnet, right? One pool which we have configured for the LAN segment. Okay. Now do one thing. What happened? Yeah, absolutely correct. Service on. Exactly. Yes, yes. We have to on the service. Perfect. Yes. Save. No problem. Even though if you not save, service should be on. Service is a different parameter. Okay. Now go to the go to the endpoint and just configure your endpoint of the DHCP. Requesting IP address. Requesting IP address. You will not get an IP address from DHCP. Oh, we got IP address, but this is not the IP address. This is the APIPA IP. 169.254.74.142. This is something a link local address, APIPA address. If the DHCP server is not reachable, your machine automatically assign one IP address to itself. The IP address is from the APIPA IP address range 169.254. No, it means DHCP server is not reachable. I will tell you why. Because when your PC0 initiate the broadcast to get the IP address of the DHCP from the DHCP, broadcast is on the port. This broadcast forward over here, and towards the router. As soon as the router receives the broadcast, it's a broadcast ultimately. It will drop, right? Router will drop the broadcast. That is for sure, right? It will not forward the broadcast over the port number gigabyte 0/1. Then it means we have to our DHCP server in the same LAN? No, it is not possible. For every VLAN, I cannot configure the one DHCP server. If I have 100 VLAN, I cannot go and configure the 100 DHCP server. There is one command, IP helper address or DHCP relay, right? IP helper address command convert your broadcast into unicast, right? And that unicast router will send it towards your DHCP server. Now go to the router interface gigabyte 0/0. Why I have choose the 0/0? Because router 1 gigabyte 0/0 interface always receive the DHCP broadcast from its LAN endpoints. Okay. So now once you enter into the interface, let's configure the command IP helper address and DHCP server IP address 10.10.10.100. Got it? Why? IP helper, who is helping to get the IP address to the endpoints? DHCP server. So always your helper address is DHCP IP address. Clear? 100%. Enter. Now guys, what will happen when router receive the broadcast from the PC0, right? It will convert the broadcast into unicast, and on the layer 3 it will add the source IP address as a broadcast receiving interface IP address. In our case, source IP is 172.16.1.1 and destination IP address, whatever IP address you have mentioned into the IP helper address command, right? So in our case, destination IP is 10.10.10.100. Clear? Okay. Now do one thing. Let's go again. Click on static, right, and just click on DHCP. Now I'm expecting you should get the IP address. Yes, guys. Now we have a valid IP address to the endpoint. Oh, in this case, DHCP server is behind our router. Still, I am getting an IP address. Why? Because with the help of IP helper address command. DHCP relay and proxy IP helper address, same thing, is the same thing. No change. No change. Okay? Now go to the another endpoint. Desktop IP DHCP. No problem, Prasad. Okay? All the machine will get the IP address. Why? Because IP helper address command is applicable. We have applied on an interface. Whenever router receive the broadcast and gigabyte/0 interface, on which we have enabled the helper address command, that all the broadcasts, all means only DHCP broadcast, by the way, not the ARP broadcast, right? DHCP broadcast will send towards the DHCP server. ब्रॉडकास्ट को यूनिकास्ट में कन्वर्ट करता है आईपी हेल्पर एड्रेस कमांड से. ओके, नाउ गाइस गो टू द PC0. माय आईपी एड्रेस इज IP config all 172.16.1.10. This is my IP address. I don't want this IP address. I want to release this IP address. How to release the IP address? Either you can restart your computer, right? Correct, or you can execute the one command, IP config /release release. See, now your IP address is 0.0.0.0. got it? You do not have any IP address more, right? Because you release the IP address. As soon as you release the IP address, your machine will not send an DHCP ब्रॉडकास्ट. वो नहीं करेगा, सेंड नहीं करेगा, राइट? स्टिल सी गाइस, स्टिल यू डू नॉट हैव द आईपी एड्रेस. सो आपने अभी भी whenever you execute the IP /release command, so your endpoint will release the IP address. To get the new IP address, you have to execute the command IP config /renew. Enter. Oh, my bad. IP config renew. Yes, now my machine initiated the broadcast. I got the reply from the DHCP. Previously my IP address was 10.172.16.1.10. I released this IP address and now I got the new IP address 172.16.1.12. Clear? Right? So key takeaway, whenever you have a DHCP server out of your network or behind any layer 3 device, in that case you have to configure the IP helper address command on the gateway interface. Clear? In our case, for all these endpoints, right, for all these endpoints, our default gateway is gigabyte/0/0 interface IP address. Clear? Perfect. Thank you so much.